Trafficking is a major ordeal in the United States. It is one of the most heinous crimes that there has ever been. This is one of the most discreet crimes because nobody knows that people are doing it. Nobody knows where the victims are or how to help them. Not even police officers. It is a big thing right now. This is a major thing. It happens everywhere. It happens to anybody. It can happen to kids, children, teenagers, even adults get involved in this. They will take these adults and they will do whatever they want to with these adults. The main thing that we need to understand is this is a major problem. This is not just something that's a game. It's not to play with. This is actually real. We are actually dealing with this even today, and it's getting worse and worse each and every year. This is something that we deal with on a daily basis. And this is something that could be prevented, that we could all come together and understand and educate others on what this is and how to prevent this. Human trafficking in the United States, it affects so many people. It affects so many cities. It affects so many lives each and every year. Some just don't make it through it, and some do. And those that do are affected by it for the rest of their life because they don't know how to cope with it. They don't know how to deal with it. And while some do get help, some others just don't understand, and they don't want to go and seek the help for that. They want to be able to address it themselves, and unfortunately, that can't always happen like that. Some of the things that make up human trafficking is what human trafficking is, what the statistics are, who the victims are, and the ways to prevent this heinous crime. Human trafficking is a major problem. It's a major thing. It affects so many people each and every day. This is something that can happen discreetly. It can happen to anybody. It can happen to your neighbors. It can happen to your peers. It can happen to co-workers. It can happen to anyone. According to the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, human trafficking involves the use of force, fraud, or coercion to obtain some type of labor or commercial sex act. This is a thing where these traffickers will take these people, usually sometimes to different stations where they can be sent off to another place and used for this. They will take them to a major U.S. destination, a major U.S. hub, and they will send them off to somebody else to do this deed, to force them into doing things for them. This is also, human trafficking is also known as a slave trade. They use these people like slaves. They treat them like that because they use them and they manipulate them and they tell them what they're going to do. They tell them how they're going to do it, and they make them believe that, hey, they've got this thing made and they've got things done, and they don't. These people are actually real, and they are actually going around and doing these things and manipulating people and making them feel like they're slaves, making them do what they want to against their will. So many innocent lives are at stake each and every day because nobody addresses the issues. Nobody can find them because this is such a horrendous thing that these traffickers are so educated on how to do it, and they've done it for so long that oftentimes they're getting away with it. This is also a thing where they target victims who are the most vulnerable. They will go after anybody who they think is going to do what they want to do without having to fight, without having to deal with it, which also leads to a hidden crime. This thing is not talked about because nobody wants to deal with that. Nobody wants to deal with the fact that so many people have to face this and so many people have to go through this. They don't want to come forward because it's scary, and it's something that affects people so much. The statistics are one of the main things that makes up human trafficking. According to Hepburn and Simon, the U.S. is one of the top 10 destinations for human trafficking. They have tens of thousands of people trafficked into the country every year. There have been reports in over 90 U.S. cities. According to DoSomething.org, many victims are runaway girls who were sexually abused as children. This is something that is so serious because they will take these girls and they will use them for sex acts, for whatever they want to use them for, because 9 times out of 10, girls really don't put up that much of a fight versus a man who can put up a fight. Little girls don't really know how to fight, so they are the easiest to get into this. The average age for a child in the in the human trafficking is 12 to 14 years. The ages range from a year old to 18. That's a baby to a teenager. These victims are some of it. According to Williams, traffickers often prey on individuals who are poor, vulnerable, in an unsafe or unstable living environment, and are in search of a better or a different life. They believe that these human traffickers are going to take them in and make them feel like they are protected and make them feel like they are something, when really what they're doing is manipulating these young men and women and girls. According to Ark of Hope for Children.org, children are often targeted by traffickers as they are deemed easier to manipulate than adults. Little girls don't put up that fight. Most little girls don't. They try, but poor little bodies can't do it. And so they're easier to get to. Also, younger girls make up more money. These younger girls are sent into doing these things for them. They come out with more money because that's what this is. This human trafficking is worth billions of dollars to these traffickers. They are after whatever they can get from these victims and money. 300,000 children are trafficked. 300,000. Men accumulate 13%, while women accumulate 80%. Transgenders accumulate the last 7%. So in order to prevent this, there needs to be prevention in place. There needs to be something in place for this. According to Garza, the TVPA, which is the Trafficking Victims of Protection Act of 2000, may be utilized to protect victims of severe forms of human trafficking and to also prosecute their traffickers for this heinous crime. The Justice for Victims of Trafficking Act is also the same way. There's a hotline number there that's in place 24/7. Anybody can call it. Anybody can go to it. There are ways to prevent it, ways to protect yourself. The police officers nowadays are trying to tell, especially young women, when you're out there, you need to carry some kind of weapon. If you don't want to carry a firearm, you need to carry some kind of mace, some kind of protection device to protect you from these traffickers that try to get girls out of there. In conclusion, human trafficking is a major ordeal. It consists of what it is, what the statistics are, who the victims are, and the ways to prevent it. This is a major ordeal, and if we all come together, we can all come together for the greater good to understand what this is and to help other people and help educate and help people know that this is actually real and this is something that should be prevented.